It starts with a silence that feels louder than any explosion. No music rising, no heroic speeches, just the weight of consequences finally crashing down. The Landman season 2 episode 10 trailer ending makes one thing painfully clear. This deal was never meant to be won. It was meant to take something from everyone who touched it. And now, as the finale approaches, the truth is unavoidable. Nothing and no one will come out unchanged. The ending moments of the episode 10 trailer strip Landman down to its rawest core. This is no longer a story about oil, money, or power plays in West Texas. This is a story about loss of control, loss of identity, and loss of the illusion that smart men can always outmaneuver fate. Tommy Norris stands at the center of this collapse, not as the powerful fixer he once was, but as a man forced to face the consequences of every choice he made to keep the machine running. Being removed from MTEX isn't just a professional setback for Tommy, it is a personal erasure. For years, his value came from being indispensable, from being the man everyone called when things went wrong. The trailer's ending makes it painfully obvious that the worst punishment for Tommy isn't poverty or danger, it's irrelevance. He can no longer pull strings. He can no longer protect people with a phone call. And perhaps most terrifying of all, he can no longer protect his own son. The title, The Deal That Can't Lose, now feels cruelly ironic. Every deal Tommy made was about survival. Every compromise felt necessary at the time. But the trailer ending reframes those decisions as stepping stones toward this exact moment. The deal didn't lose because it succeeded. It didn't lose because it destroyed the very man who believed he was in control of it. There's a heaviness in the way the trailer ends, a sense that the story is slowing down on purpose, so the audience has no choice but to sit with the discomfort. This isn't a fast collapse, it's a gradual realization that the ground has already given way beneath everyone's feet. Tommy isn't running anymore. He's standing still, forced to look at what's left when the power is gone. What makes this moment even more devastating is that Tommy's fall isn't portrayed as heroic or dramatic. There's no grand sacrifice. There's just emptiness. His absence from MTEX has pushed him back into a home that no longer feels like a place of rest. He's physically present, but emotionally detached, haunted by the knowledge that the world he built no longer needs him. The trailer's ending leans into this quiet despair, showing us a man who doesn't know who he is without the role that defined him. At the same time, the collapse of Tommy's authority creates a dangerous vacuum. Power doesn't disappear, it shifts. And the trailer makes it clear that the people now holding the money and the decisions are far less certain, far less stable. The structure that once kept chaos at bay is cracking, and everyone can feel it. This instability sets the stage for the finale not as a resolution, but as an impact point. The emotional weight of the trailer's ending comes from its honesty. There are no promises that things will work out, no hint that justice will be clean or fair. Instead, the show asks a harder question. What happens when doing everything you thought was right still leads you here? Tommy trusted the wrong people. He crossed lines he told himself were temporary. He believed that keeping MTEX alive justified every risk. And now, standing on the outside, he's forced to confront the possibility that the system he served never truly served him back. This loss of control bleeds into every corner of the story. The trailer's ending doesn't isolate Tommy's downfall. It connects it directly to what's coming next. His inability to act becomes the most dangerous element of all, because when the real crisis hits, when the consequences finally demand payment, Tommy Norris won't be the man who saves the day. He'll be the man who has to watch. And that is the true threat hanging over the finale. Not explosions, not arrests, not corporate betrayal, but the realization that the deal was never about winning. It was about choosing what you were willing to lose. And now, as the season reaches its breaking point, Landman makes one thing brutally clear. The bill has come due. If Tommy's story in the trailer ending is about losing control, then Cooper's is about losing time. One moment, one decision, one punch thrown in anger. And suddenly, a future that once seemed wide open starts to close in from every direction. The Landman, Season 2, Episode 10 trailer. Ending frames Cooper not as a villain, but as a young man finally realizing that good intentions don't protect you from consequences. What makes Cooper's situation so devastating is how human it feels. He didn't act out of greed or ambition. He acted out of love. When he learned that Ariana was being harassed, his response was instinctive, protective, emotional. In that moment, he wasn't thinking like a businessman or a future leader in the oil field. He was thinking like a man who refuses to let someone disrespect the woman he plans to marry. The trailer doesn't glorify that violence, but it doesn't condemn the emotion behind it either. Instead, it lets the reality settle in slowly. Control was lost, and now the damage can't be undone. The ending of the trailer makes it clear that this wasn't just a fight. It was a turning point. The man Cooper attacked nearly died. The police were called. And suddenly, what felt like a justified reaction becomes a legal nightmare. The system doesn't care about context. It doesn't care about racism, provocation, or love. It only sees injuries, reports, and evidence. That cold reality hangs over Cooper in the trailer's final moments, and you can see it written all over him. The confidence he once carried so easily is gone. In its place is fear, quiet, heavy, and impossible to ignore. What makes this even more painful is the timing. If this had happened earlier, Tommy might have been able to intervene. He could have made calls. He could have applied pressure. He could have protected his son the way he always has. But the trailer's ending makes it brutally clear that those days are over. Tommy no longer has the power to shield Cooper from the fallout. And that absence of protection is perhaps the most heartbreaking detail of all. For Cooper, this is the first time he's truly alone in the world his father once controlled. No safety net, no shortcuts, no quiet fixes behind closed doors. The trailer frames this not just as a legal threat, but as an emotional reckoning. Cooper has to face the possibility that his actions may not only cost him his freedom, but also his relationship, his career, and his place in the family. Ariana becomes a silent presence in this tension. Their plans to get married, to build a life together, now feel fragile, almost naive in the face of what's coming. The trailer ending also subtly connects Cooper's legal trouble to his professional decisions in the oil field. His judgment is already under scrutiny. The violent outburst raises questions about whether he's emotionally stable enough to be making high-risk drilling decisions. In the world of petroleum extraction, one wrong call can lead to disaster, financial ruin, environmental damage, even loss of life. The trailer doesn't show those consequences yet, but it plants the doubt. Is Cooper thinking clearly, or is the pressure clouding his ability to assess risk? This dual threat, legal and professional, creates a sense of suffocation around Cooper's character. No matter where he turns, the walls are closing in. The ending of the trailer lingers on this feeling. It doesn't rush past it. It wants the audience to sit with the fear that Cooper is finally realizing something his father has known all along. In this world, mistakes are expensive and mercy is rare. There's also an emotional shift in the father-son dynamic that the trailer hints at in its final moments. Tommy isn't angry in the way you might expect. He's something worse, helpless. For a man who has spent his life fixing problems, watching his son face consequences he can't erase is a new kind of torment. The trailer uses this silence between them as a weapon. No shouting, no lectures, just the understanding that whatever happens next, it's out of Tommy's hands. Cooper, meanwhile, looks haunted. Not just by the possibility of prison, but by the realization that he may have let everyone down. His father, Ariana, himself. The trailer ending suggests that this fear is beginning to crack the tough exterior he's always relied on. The bravado is gone. What's left is vulnerability, and that makes him more dangerous to himself than ever. The tragedy of Cooper's storyline is that his choice came from a place many viewers will understand. Standing up for someone you love feels right. It feels necessary. But Landman refuses to romanticize that impulse. Instead, it asks a harder question. What happens after the moment passes? What happens when the adrenaline fades and the consequences remain? The trailer ending doesn't answer these questions. It simply places them squarely in front of us and refuses to look away. As the finale approaches, Cooper's situation becomes a ticking clock. Jail time looms. His future in the oil business hangs by a thread. His relationship with Ariana is strained by uncertainty. And without Tommy's influence to protect him, every outcome feels possible. And none of them feel safe. The deal that couldn't lose is now threatening to take the next generation down with it. And that's what makes the trailer's ending so unsettling. It's not just about what Cooper did, it's about what he can no longer escape. While the threat of jail and corporate fallout looms large, the trailer ending quietly reveals something even more devastating: the slow collapse of the Norris family from the inside. Landman has always balanced large-scale power struggles with intimate family moments, but the ending of episode 10's trailer leans heavily into the emotional fractures that can no longer be ignored. There are no explosive confrontations here, no screaming matches, just tension that has been building all season, now pressing in from every side. Tommy's removal from MTEX changes the energy inside the home completely. He is there more often now, but his presence feels hollow. For a man who once thrived on constant movement, on solving problems and managing chaos, stillness becomes a punishment. The trailer ending shows him existing rather than living. He listens, but he doesn't fully engage. He hears the conversations, but his mind is elsewhere, replaying deals, decisions, and moments where he wonders if things could have gone differently. This emotional absence weighs heavily on the family, even when no one says it out loud. Angela tries to compensate in the only way she knows how, through humor. Throughout the season, her jokes have acted as a release valve, easing tension just enough to keep things from boiling over. But in the trailer's final moments, that humor doesn't land the same way. The laughter feels forced. The smiles fade too quickly. It becomes clear that jokes can't fix what's broken anymore. The weight of uncertainty is too heavy, and everyone in the room feels it. The strain between Angela and Anensley becomes impossible to ignore. What once felt like protective parenting now reads as control. Angela's instinct to shield her daughter from hardship, to step in before mistakes are made, comes from love. But the trailer suggests that love may be doing more harm than good. Anensley isn't a child anymore. She wants independence. She wants to prove she can stand on her own. And every time Angela refuses to let go, the gap between them widens. The trailer ending hints at conversations that go in circles, frustrations that never quite explode, but never fully resolve either. This quiet tension is what makes their dynamic so unsettling. There's no clear villain, no obvious wrong side, just two people who love each other deeply but can't agree on what that love should look like anymore. And in a family already under immense pressure, that unresolved conflict becomes another crack in the foundation. What makes these family moments so powerful is how understated they are. Landman doesn't rely on dramatic speeches to convey pain. Instead, it uses silence, pauses, glances that linger too long. The trailer's ending leans into these details, showing how the smallest interactions now carry enormous weight. A simple family meal becomes a reminder of everything that's wrong. What used to be moments of dark humor and connection now feel heavy with unspoken resentment. Tommy's emotional distance affects everyone, but it hits Cooper and Anensley differently. Cooper is facing the possibility of jail, and the lack of reassurance from his father only deepens his fear. Anensley, meanwhile, watches her family unravel and realizes that the stability she once relied on may have been an illusion all along. The adults she thought had everything under control are just as lost as she is. The trailer ending suggests that this family is standing on the edge of a breaking point, not because of one single event, but because of everything happening at once. Legal threats, career collapses, emotional distance, unresolved resentments. Each problem feeds into the next, creating a cycle that feels impossible to escape. And the most painful part is that no one knows how to stop it. There's also a subtle shift in how responsibility is portrayed within the family. Tommy has always carried the weight of being the provider, the protector. Now that role is gone, and no one knows how to replace it. Angela tries to fill the gap emotionally. Cooper tries to act strong. Anensley tries to grow up faster than she's ready to. But none of it quite works. The trailer ending shows a family improvising under pressure, and the cracks are starting to show. This breakdown in communication becomes one of the most dangerous elements heading into the finale. When people stop talking honestly, mistakes multiply. Misunderstandings grow. And in a world as unforgiving as the one Landman portrays, emotional missteps can be just as costly as bad business decisions. The trailer doesn't spell this out. It doesn't need to. The discomfort is enough. As the final moments of the trailer fade, the message is clear. The real danger isn't just what's happening outside the home, it's what's happening in it. This is a family that once relied on each other to survive the chaos of the oil business. Now, that same chaos has followed them home. And if they can't find a way to face what's coming together, the damage may be permanent. The deal that couldn't lose is no longer confined to boardrooms and oil fields. It has reached the heart of the Norris family. And as the finale approaches, the question isn't just who will survive professionally or legally, but whether this family can survive at all. As the trailer ending lingers in the mind, one theme rises above all others. Nothing in Landman exists in isolation. Every deal, every compromise, every moment where the line was bent instead of held has been quietly stacking consequences, and episode 10 promises the moment when all of them finally collide. The title, The Deal That Can't Lose, becomes a bitter reminder that survival in the short term often comes at a cost that can't be avoided forever. Tommy's journey through this season has been defined by necessity. In the brutal world of West Texas oil, decisions aren't made in calm offices with perfect information. They're made under pressure, with livelihoods on the line and powerful forces closing in from all sides. The trailer ending reflects this reality by refusing to frame Tommy as either hero or villain. Instead, it presents him as a man who did what he believed was required to keep everything from falling apart, until it did anyway. The most unsettling part of the trailer's final moments is how reflective Tommy appears. He isn't fighting anymore. He isn't negotiating. He's looking backward. The show hints that he's replaying his own history, searching for the moment where a different choice might have changed everything. A partnership he shouldn't have trusted. A deal he should have walked away from. A line crossed because the alternative felt worse at the time. These reflections don't bring comfort. They bring clarity, and that clarity is painful. Landman has always emphasized that the oil business doesn't reward morality. It rewards endurance. But the trailer ending suggests that endurance has limits. Tommy endured pressure, betrayal, and danger for years, believing that if he just held on long enough, stability would return. Instead, the cost of that endurance has arrived all at once. Losing MTEX isn't just the result of one bad decision. It's the cumulative outcome of a lifetime spent choosing survival over caution. This idea of accumulated consequence extends beyond Tommy to everyone around him. Cooper's violent outburst didn't come from nowhere. It was shaped by the environment he was raised in, one where strength is valued, where standing your ground is expected, and where backing down can be seen as weakness. The trailer ending reframes Cooper's mistake not as an isolated failure, but as a product of the same world that shaped his father. And that realization makes it even harder to accept. The oil field itself becomes an unspoken presence in the trailer's conclusion. Even when it's not directly shown, its influence is everywhere. The high-stakes drilling decisions Cooper has been making add another layer of risk to an already unstable situation. One wrong call could result in disaster, and the trailer hints that his recent emotional turmoil may be clouding his judgment. In this world, hesitation and recklessness are equally dangerous, and Cooper seems caught between the two. What makes the ending so effective is its refusal to offer relief. There is no sense that things are about to improve. Instead, the tone suggests inevitability. The choices made earlier in the season are no longer theoretical. They're real. They're here. And they're demanding payment. The trailer communicates this through its pacing. Slow, deliberate, almost oppressive. It wants the audience to feel the weight of what's coming. Even secondary relationships feel the strain of these accumulated consequences. Trust has eroded. Alliances feel fragile. The people who once seemed confident in their control over money, land, and power now appear uncertain. The trailer subtly implies that the entire power structure surrounding the oil business is unstable, not just within MTEX, but beyond it. This instability creates an atmosphere where anything could tip the balance further into chaos. The brilliance of the trailer ending lies in its honesty. It doesn't promise redemption. It doesn't suggest that lessons learned will lead to immediate growth. Instead, it shows us characters at the moment when understanding arrives too late to prevent damage. And that's what makes it resonate. In real life, clarity often comes after the opportunity to change has passed. Landman captures that truth with brutal precision. As the finale approaches, the audience is left with a sense of dread mixed with fascination. We know that something has to give. The pressure can't keep building forever, but we also know that release doesn't always come in the form of justice or resolution. Sometimes it comes as loss, sometimes it comes as regret, and sometimes it comes as the realization that the deal you thought couldn't lose was never designed to let you win.